Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle, and I have a cat assisting me today. This is Skye, S-K-Y-E, and she is very, very affectionate. And she's gonna help with this Versus review, which is the Takara version of Volcanicus, the Dinobots, versus the Technicolor Dinobot knockoffs, which are the same mold, but in various Skittle styles colors. Well, some of them are, and are of particular interest to Skye, because she likes to chew on their swords. We're gonna see which one is better, and if one or both sets would fit into your collection. Be right back. So inside the black box is this cardboard box, which when opened, reveals the Takara versions of these toys. It almost looks like a pizza box, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. So let me get these guys out of here. All right, so the Takara ones are all unpacked, and the first thing you might notice about these guys are the Takara ones are smaller than the knockoffs. So these are a little bit oversized of knockoffs, which is very cool. I like oversized knockoffs. The other thing you might notice is the Takara one does not have the little guy. So we have the little raptor guy in pink, so they're already outnumbered and outsized. But we're gonna go through them one by one, comparing them, and I'll also look at the pink guy, and then we'll merge them together, which is really what we wanna see. Because from what I understand, the Takara one is better than the Volcanicus that was released in the US. But we also wanna take a look at a little bit bigger of one, because that'd be cool. So the first ones we're gonna compare are, of course, Grimlock, the red and regular Takara Grimlock. And again, the size difference is pretty apparent, but they are pretty much the same mold. So let's take a look. Now, the Takara one is obviously a little shinier, a little nicer looking than the US one, and they can both do full Jean-Claude Van Damme's. Now, the weapons that came with the multicolored knockoffs are a little more generic, whereas Grimlock has these two guns that tend to pop off, apparently. Whereas a whole bunch of different weapons came with this guy and his compatriots, so they have more swords. And he's got kind of a generic gun. But other than that, they look pretty much the same from all angles. Arm movement is pretty much the same. It can go out, it can go in, bends at the elbow, has a swivel there. Same thing with the knockoffs that has a swivel, can go up, can go off to the side. The heads both can turn, and you can twist at the waist if you really want to. So lots of cool possible poses with this guy and this guy. They look like, you know, this is the big bro, you know, helping out his little one. They look good from the back. The one thing that's interesting is this knockoff has this shield, which is used later with Volcanicus, in die-cast metal, whereas this is just plastic. Obviously no symbol on the knockoff, but they both are fine-looking bots. Now let's check them out in Dino mode. As you might imagine, the transformation is identical for each of them. However, one thing I've just noticed on our knockoff boy here, the little useless forearms, which, you know, he can't even scratch his ass with, are backwards on this. So I believe I can just pop them out and pop them in correctly. So not a big deal because they are so easy to fix. Or I thought so. So now there they are, pretty much identical. They can both open their mouths, they can move these useless forearms, you can move the legs a bit. Their tails are very thick, so definitely looks mechanical. You can definitely see the size difference. They have articulation in the head, though the head cannot turn in any direction. Nor can I see an easy way of putting an apron on him to serve drinks. But very good versions of the character. Now apparently the Takara Grimlock comes with these two pieces. that are supposed to somehow link together and go onto his back. I am not seeing a way to link them together. I looked at the instructions and yeah, it doesn't work for me. I don't really see a way for them to maneuver together, so I'm not going to do that. I'll just put them aside. I hope they will work with the final version of Volcanicus, but there you go, Grimlock. And moving on to Slag. As you can see, very similar in molds, and obviously the blue one is bigger. They have the same handgun, but they gave me extra swords. So the blue one's got a sword. Awesome. As far as posability, I mean, they can both not quite do a Jean-Claude Van Damme. They can maneuver their arms in many directions, which is great. Lots of posability there. He lacks the original G1 wings, which is a shame, but still I've seen, you know, worse representations of characters. Michael Bay. Anyway, his head is in here. It does not really, you can turn it, but you know, he's kind of stuck in there, so I don't see a reason to actually turn it. So identical movements. This one definitely seems a little heavier. I think there might be little bits of die cast in here, but lots of great posability. And because the dinosaur legs can move a little bit, you might be able to use those to make them a little more stable in some of your more dynamic poses. So that's kind of a plus or a little hack. They're both horny. They have horns. But again, other than size and color, they're pretty much identical. So let's check out the Triceratops mode. And yeah, as you can see, the guns just differ in scale. And the knockoff one seems a little shinier, so that's interesting. So there they are, Stegosaurus mode. Now, from what I understand, you can plug the gun to the back of each of these. Now the sword, what are you gonna do? Put it on the back leg. You just put that aside. But again, other than the size, their horns move similarly and never quite seem to be in the right positions. But very cool designs. Now on the blue one, I do like the fact that he's got this gold detailing here on his crest, which is kind of unadorned even on the Takara, really nice one. And he's got the gold accents all over. And even the feet, they have these white feet with blue accents, which is really kind of a cool look. A little more Power Ranger-ish than, you know, Transformer-ish, but still a cool effect. So identical, but I have to say, I really like the blue one. The additional like shine on the Takara is nice, and the translucent plastic. That's why you have to decide which one is better. But there we have Slag, or Slug. We're not gonna call him Slug, forget it. Sludge, yeah, this one looks even more Power Ranger-ish. He's orange. And as you can see side by side, you know, again, same mold, same transformation. Again, I got an extra sword, so sorry, Takara. And of course, they have the same type of almost being able to do a Jean-Claude Van Damme, but not really. Posability in the legs. They can kind of do side kicks, kind of frontish kick, kind of crescent kick, I don't know. They can kick. Arms move in many directions. Head turns. Me, Sludge, think you stupid. Me, Sludge, think you stupid. But lots of posability, no twisting. This one can twist. Let's see, can this one twist? It was just a little stiff. They can twist at the waist, so yes. So again, lots of posability, lots of movement. Extra weapon with my set, but let's see how they look in Brontosaurus mode. So one thing I will say is that, first of all, the Takara Sludge, the mouth opens much better. This one opens, but it doesn't have quite the range of motion. Whereas the orange one has some nice detailing. I'd say in this case, the detailing goes to the Takara version of Sludge. He's got the nice transparency, and I think he looks a little nicer. This is a little blander than the other one. It does have some nice gold highlights and black instead of the gold over here. Now you can turn the heads, kind of weird. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you can. Almost looks like Michael Myers. Should I kill you? If you're over the age of 1, you're fair game. But the legs have similar movement, of course. The back legs you can adjust a little bit, and the tail doesn't do much in this case. And you could put the gun on the side, which again, it looks kind of out of place to me. I'm not a big fan of that, especially because I like symmetrical things, so I would want a gun on each side if I was going to do that. But overall, again, there they are. The, oh, isn't that cute? They can nuzzle each other. Awesome G1 accurate version of the character, and go Power Rangers. You can wait over there. Swoop! So Swoop here, this is the blue version, and this is the, well, yellow version. So kind of a piss yellow color, but still identical. Now, if you spread the wings a little bit, you can almost do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme with each of these guys. Almost. It hurts, but they're getting there. And again, similar movements. Now, the Takara one came with a sword for Swoop, which was very G1, except it's clear, not red. Whereas I just gave this one a fist because I ran out of swords. They do not, either of them, have the bombs, the launchers that go onto his wings, which is a shame because that was kind of a cool feature of the original. And their heads turn as well, so that's a good, nice feature that was not present in the original G1. You try to turn that and you're fucked. But again, pretty much identical in every way except the color and the size. Let's check out the Pterodon. I think it's Pteranodon. It's one of those. I know I got told what it was in one of the one comment, but I can't remember everything, man. So there you have it, Swoop and Swoop. And apparently, with this little post here, you can store the sword underneath Swoop's chin. Not really, no. That does not look good to me. Not how I would store his sword. Rather shove it up his butt. You can maneuver the wings. You can move the head a little bit. You can basically put him in the perch mode. I mean, not as fragile as the G1, but again, missing those missile launchers, which is a shame. I wonder if there's an upgrade kit. If there is, let me know. I don't know if there's an upgrade kit that adds missile launchers for Swoop. Probably not in this size, but probably in this size. Again, good. Let's move on to our final duo, which is Snarl. Now in this case, I have an extra gun that is for Snarl. They gave him a sword over at Takara. So he's got a sword, he's got a sword, so they're kind of even. They can fight. In the end, there can be only one. Ah! Very much identical in mold. This one is green, which is kind of neat. Kind of gives me a Land of the Lost feelings. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Not the Will Ferrell shit. Almost a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. You can turn the heads, arms go everywhere, and you can turn him at the waist. And he's actually pretty stable. Well, I'm not speaking mentally, though. If you really want to talk about unstable, it's kind of between Slag and Grimlock. Swoop, I think, is like the most stable. And again, the detailing on the Takara version of Volcanicus, the colors are nicer. In general, it does happen that a US version sometimes looks nicer, but it's rare. Usually the Japanese versions, they put a little more care into it. Let's check out the Stegosaurus mode. Now I will say, on this guy, the fists are a little loose. Little squeezing there. It's not a big deal. So the fists can come out, but easily fixed. Just don't lose the fists. Now it is interesting how they did go very similar in the ways that they transformed to the G1 where they could. So there they are, Stegosaurus mode. Now there is some nice detailing on the green one, a little bit of purple on the side, a little bit of gold, but in this case, I think he's kind of bland compared to the Takara version, who again, very shiny. He's got the transparent plastic over the skull, just looks a little nicer, but obviously smaller. The face is definitely blander on this one than on the Takara version. Now I think you can attach the sword somewhere. It can attach to his leg right there. Again, I probably wouldn't. Maybe if I was, you know, storing them. But very cool. Now I know you're really wanting to see Volcanicus, but there is one more guy, the pink one. Now the pink guy, as you're probably aware, is known as Slash. And just for the sake of comparison, there is the US version of Slash, the legend size. And again, this guy feels pretty substantial. Can turn his head. He can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, though his little pincer things in the back kind of keep his butt from hitting the ground. Now, he did not come with a weapon, and so I don't really have a weapon for this guy either. But as you can see, they fall over a lot. They're quite posable, a good addition. I actually, when I was younger, had come up with some additional Transformer names, and I had figured out a name of Slash for a Dinobot, but he would have that big fin on the back, and that is what he would slash with. He would not be a raptor, but finally getting my Dinobot Slash years later. Coolbots, again, the knockoff is bigger, and he's pink. All right, let's put them into raptor mode. So there they are, side by side, both raptors. Both of them can open their mouths, they can fight each other. Obviously the pink one, not as intimidating as possibly this one, but is still bigger and overall cool. All right, the moment you've been waiting for, Volcanicus. Just get bigger. And here at last we have the oversized multicolored Volcanicus, and we have the Takara version. Now the Takara version is interesting in a couple ways, in that you can put these chest pieces in here to fill them out a little bit. He also has Grimlock's guns on the back of the heels for stability, and he's got these two honkin' swords, which pretty big. So he's definitely well armed, though I have to say it's a little floppy. Instead of the fists that have thumbs on both sides, this has a movable thumb, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it kind of can be a little bit floppy, doesn't necessarily hold the weight of these swords very easily, so they can flop around quite a bit. Whereas this guy has the double thumbed ones, and I just put the small swords in there. Yeah, not as big, not as impressive, but you know, he's not as insecure, I guess, as Volcanicus. I mean, he's multicolored. He's very confident. This definitely has some more die casts in it, so weight-wise, this is more, not just because of the bigger size, but there is definitely metal in this, where I think this is all plastic. I mean, height-wise, you can see there's a little bit of a difference. Definitely an interesting version of Skittle's Volcanicus. Now, I know Slash, some people say he's a backpack, some people say, I don't know. I don't know if he fits on here or not. I've never actually added him to either the Hasbro or the Takara or the multicolored one. So, you know, for all this supposedly being a better version, he still falls over. The feet on this, by the way, are cooler than the normal feet. You can see the toes, it's a cover that goes on there that extends it, so that's definitely a nice thing. But again, all of these Combiner Wars versions are not quite as stable as the old G1s. Much more posable, but most of them aren't that stable. But as far as posability, I mean, he can move his arms in various ways. Of course, sometimes the legs of the component parts fall apart, and you gotta pop them back together. And I think that can be the case with a lot of them, but honestly, when they decided to make a merge group out of the Dinobots, a combiner, it's like, did they really need it? I mean, considering how dumb Devastator is when he's in his combined mode, do you really want the Dinobots to be dumber? So yeah, while it's a nice idea and it's a cool set, I would probably leave them in their separate modes just because I like having lots of Transformers around. I mean, obviously he can bend at the knee, which sometimes can help with stabilization. This guy is just as posable. You can bend him at the knee. Just seems a little bit more solid. Now I did take the extra fist things and attach them to the back of the feet, so it actually stabilizes him a bit. But even this guy, for all of his feeling a little bit more solid, I definitely like the decal on both of these, but they're not the best combiner. I would definitely leave them separated. You gotta keep them separated, but still neat sets. I'm kind of glad I have them. Now, the Volcanicus from Generation Select, which is the one that they sold in Japan, that goes for anywhere from $250 to $400 easily on eBay. I will put a link below so you can check those out. This guy, a bit cheaper. Now right now in AliExpress, the limbs are going separately for about 14 bucks a piece plus a little bit of shipping. The red Grimlock seems to be out of stock on AliExpress. You might find it on eBay. I'll put links to both. And who knows, I might do a giveaway because I have an extra one of these red Grimlocks. So we'll see what can happen there. I hope you enjoyed this, and please let me know in the comments which you think is better. This is a versus review, so it just took a long time to shoot. And while you're deciding which of these you want to get, of course you can check out some other videos over here. There's a subscribe button down there. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. And if you really like this video, you can give a super thanks, which would definitely support this channel. We'll talk to you later, and as always, have fun and good hunting.